Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Sudhir Verma, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, Deen Dayal Upadhyay College, University of Delhi. Today, we will discuss the module Lactose Operon or the LAC operon from the paper Molecular Genetics. So before moving on directly to LAC operon, let me ask you one thing. We all know that the genetic material in all the cells within an organism is same. But despite of same genetic composition of all the cells, there are differences in cell types in terms of structure as well as the function. How? The answer is differential gene expression, means the same genetic information but being read differently. Then the next question is how this differential expression, which might be temporal or the spatial, is achieved. And the answer is by regulation of gene expression at different levels, such as transcriptional level, RNA processing level, RNA transport level, translation or the post-translational level. Gene expression can be either constitutive or inducible or the repressible. It can also be either positively regulated or negatively regulated. So, having this much idea, we will move on to understand what an operon is. In prokaryotes, the genes with related functions are coordinately regulated genetic units called as operons. The operon model was developed by Francois Jacob and Jacques Monod in 1961. The operons can be inducible operons, that means the ones in which transcription is normally off and something must happen to switch it on, or repressible operon in which transcription is normally on and something must happen to turn it off. Then we will move on to operon specific for lactose metabolism, which consists of three structural genes, which are the beta-galactosidase, permease and transacetylase, besides the operator, promoter and the regulator genes. We will understand the operation of LAC operon, which is an example of negative inducible operon. We will also study the leaky nature of LAC operon and what is the advantage of having it. Further, we will see how Jacob and Monod deduced the LAC operon by complementation test using partial diploid bacterial strains. Lastly, we will learn about the positive control and the catabolite repression of LAC operon. So students, having this much idea about what we are going to study in this module, let us understand these points in a bit detail. As we just learned, there can be different levels of gene regulation, but we will restrict our discussion to transcriptional regulation level only in this module. Gene expression can be of three types: the constitutive one, inducible one or the repressible gene expression. The constitutive gene expression refers to the genes which are constitutively expressed in most of the cells. For example, the genes which are expressed as housekeeping functional proteins like the ribosomal proteins, tRNA, rRNA, etc. There are other genes whose products are required for cell growth under certain environmental conditions only. Thus, constitutive expression of such genes is a waste of energy. The expression of such genes is switched on only when their product is needed. This process of turning on the expression of genes in response to a particular substance in the environment is called as inducible gene expression, and these genes are called as inducible genes. The catabolic pathway enzymes such as in lactose or the galactose etc. are example of inducible expression. In contrast, the continued synthesis of some biosynthetic enzyme is a wastage if that molecule is present in the environment where the bacteria are growing. Thus, in case of externally available nutrient molecules, the enzymes required for biosynthesis of that nutrient need to be turned off. Such an expression is called as repressible gene expression. The gene expression can also be a positive one or a negatively controlled one. If the product of regulator gene is involved in turning on the expression of one or more structural genes, the control mechanism is termed as positive control mechanism. And if the product of regulator gene is involved in turning off of the expression of structural genes, then the control mechanism is termed as negative control mechanism. So students, let's now understand what an operon is. The significant difference between a bacterial one and a eukaryotic gene control lies in the organization of functionally related genes. The bacterial genes, which have related functions, are clustered and under the control of a single promoter. These genes are transcribed together in a single mRNA. Thus, in prokaryotes, the genes with related functions are coordinately regulated genetic units, which are called as operons. The operon model was developed by Francois Jacob and Jacques Monod in 1961 to explain the regulation of genes required for the utilization of lactose in E. coli. At one end of operon is present a set of structural genes, for example, gene A, B, C and so on. These genes are coordinately expressed in a single mRNA, which is further translated to form protein A, B or C. Upstream of these structural genes is present a promoter, which controls the transcription of all these structural genes. The RNA polymerase binds to this promoter and then goes downstream to transcribe the structural genes. A regulator gene also helps in controlling the transcription of structural genes. The regulator gene has its own promoter and not actually a part of operon. The regulatory protein can bind to a region on operon called as operator. The operator usually overlaps 3' and of promoter and 5' and of the first structural gene. Some operons may have multiple operators as well. The operons can be an inducible operon, means the one in which transcription is normally off and something must happen to switch it on, and the repressible operon, in which transcription is normally on and something must happen to turn it off. There are a number of operon types which are operated in prokaryotes for transcriptional regulation. Let's study the lac operon of E. coli. Francois Jacob and Jacques Monod explained the operon model for genetic control of lactose metabolism in E. coli in the year 1961. Their work and subsequent research established operon as the basic unit of transcriptional regulation in bacteria. Though no sequencing methods were available to determine the nucleotide sequence at that time, but Jacob and Monod deduced the operon structure genetically by analyzing the interactions in the mutations that interfered the lactose metabolism regulation. We will discuss these mutations in subsequent sections, but before that, let's first understand how lactose metabolism is regulated by the lac operon in bacteria. Let's see how lactose metabolism takes place. The E. coli bacteria present in our gut helps in metabolizing the sugar lactose, which is the major carbohydrate found in the milk. The lactose is not internalized passively by E. coli, but actively by a protein called as permease. Once lactose is transported inside the bacterial cell, it is broken up into its constituent monosaccharide, that is the glucose and galactose, by the enzyme beta-galactosidase. The same enzyme can also convert lactose into allolactose, which is involved in regulation of lactose metabolism. Once converted into the monosaccharides, now it can be used as energy source by the bacteria. Yet another enzyme which is produced by lac operon is thiogalactoside transacetylase, whose function is still not yet clearly understood. Now we will move on to understand how the operon for lactose metabolizing enzyme is regulated depending on the physiological need. Lac operon is an example of negative inducible operon. In a negative inducible operon, an active repressor is encoded by a regulator gene which readily binds to the operator. Binding of repressor protein to operator blocks the binding of RNA polymerase to promoter, as the operator site overlaps with the promoter. Thus, no transcription takes place. For transcription to occur, promoter should be free, or indirectly the repressor should not bind to operator site. The transcription in such a case is normally inhibited or in the off state and needs to be induced or turned on. In order to switch on the transcription, an inducer binds to the repressor. The repressor proteins are usually allosteric in nature. That means they usually have two binding sites, one for DNA and another for some other molecules such as inducer. Thus, when inducer binds to repressor, it alters its shape, which leads to dissociation of repressor from the DNA. Simple presence of inducer switches on the transcription, leading to expression of structural genes, whereas absence of inducer keeps the transcription off because of repressor, leading to no expression of structural genes. Structurally, lac operon consists of a common promoter, which we denote as LAC-P, and 3 adjacently located structural genes, which are denoted as LAC-Z, LAC-Y and LAC-A, which encode for beta-galactosidase, permease and transacetylase respectively. Between the operator and the promoter lies the operator LAC-O. Upstream of promoter is present the regulator gene LAC-I, which has its own promoter, that is PI. LAC-I encodes for a repressor which has 2 binding sites, one for DNA and another for allolactose. Allolactose acts as an inducer for lac operon and is produced by action of beta-galactosidase on the lactose. Now, what happens when lactose is absent? No allolactose is formed and hence no inducer is present. The repressor binds to operator and blocks the promoter site. The RNA polymerase is unable to bind to promoter and thus no transcription takes place, causing no expression of structural genes required for lactose metabolism. In fact, it makes the physiological sense. If no lactose is present in the growth medium, there is no requirement to form the enzymes, proteins to catabolize it, and energy is saved. Now, what happens if the lactose is present? Initially, some of the lactose is converted to allolactose, which then binds to repressor and causes a structural change in it, leading to its release from the DNA. Now, the promoter is free and RNA polymerase can bind to it, and transcription of lac operon genes takes place. It also makes physiological sense to synthesize the lactose metabolizing enzymes only when lactose is present in the growth medium to metabolize. Now, in what we have discussed above, you must have realized that permease, which is an enzyme for transport of lactose inside the cell, if the lac operon is repressed, how does lactose get inside the cell to inactivate the repression and turn on the transcription? Secondly, the question is, inducer for the lac operon is allolactose, which is formed by the action of beta-galactosidase on the lactose. But how can the lactose metabolism be induced when there is no beta-galactosidase? The answer for these questions is that repression does not completely shuts down the transcription of lac operon. There is always a very low level of transcription going on, even if the repressor is actively bound to the operator. Thus, a few molecules of beta-galactosidase, transacetylase and permease are always there inside the cell. When lactose appears in the medium, permease transports it inside the cell and the beta-galactosidase acts upon it to convert it into the allolactose. Now, this allolactose then induces the transcription. This phenomena is something which we call as leaky nature of the lac operon, and that is why we call the lac operon as leaky. So, students, besides allolactose, there can be similar compounds which can be used as inducer for lac operon, and one such compound is IPTG or isopropyl thiogalactoside, which is extensively used in research to observe the effect of induction independent of metabolism, as it is not metabolized by beta-galactosidase. Now, let us understand how Jacob and Monod deduced the lac operon. The structure and function of lac operon was worked out by Jacob and Monod by analyzing the mutations that affected the lactose metabolism. They used something which we call as partial diploid strains of E. coli. These strains possess 2 different DNA molecules, that is, one complete bacterial chromosome and an extra copy of DNA. Jacob and Monod created such strains by process which we call as conjugation. As we know, in conjugation, small circular piece of DNA which we call as F plasmid is transferred from one bacterium to another one. Jacob and Monod used this F plasmid for the lac operon. So, now the recipient bacterium became partially diploid as it possessed 2 copies of lac operon. they used different combination of mutations on F plasmid and bacterial DNA and deduced the sum of the lac operon components are cis-acting. Cis-acting are the ones that means controlling the gene expression only in the when they are present on the same chromosome, and others are called as trans-acting, means controlling the gene expression on other DNA molecules as well. The experiments in which gene or gene clusters are tested pairwise are called as complementation test. Now, let us discuss the mutations in all the components of lac operon, that is the structural gene, regulator gene, operator and the promoter. Let us first start with the mutations in the structural genes. Using partial diploids, Jacob and Monod established that mutations at LAC-Z and LAC-Y genes were independent and usually affected the product of the gene in which they are occurred. The partial diploid with LAC-Z positive, LAC-Y negative on bacterial chromosome and LAC-Z negative and LAC-Y positive on plasmid functioned normally, producing permease as well as the beta galactosidase in the presence of lactose. The single functional beta galactosidase gene, that is LAC-Z positive in this partial diploid, is sufficient enough to form beta galactosidase irrespective of its coupling with defective, that is LAC-Y negative, or the functional, that is LAC-Y positive permease. The same is applicable for LAC-Y positive gene as well. Moving on to the next component of the operon, that is regulator gene. Mutations in LAC-I gene affects both beta galactosidase and permease, as both the genes are in the same operon and regulated on coordinated manner. The mutations which were constitutive in nature, that is causing the LAC proteins to be produced all the times irrespective of whether lactose were present or not, were designated as LAC-I negative. The LAC-I positive gene is dominant over LAC-I negative gene, means a single copy of LAC-I positive gene is sufficient to bring normal regulation. Further, LAC-I positive is trans-acting in nature, which means it can regulate the operon normally even if operon is located on some other DNA molecule. Some LAC-I mutations did not allow transcription to take place even in the presence of lactose and other inducers such as IPTG. Such mutations are referred as super repressor mutations or denoted as LAC-IS. The repressor produced by such mutations is defective in a way that inducer could not inactivate it. The LAC-IS mutations are dominant over LAC-I positive ones. The partial diploids with genotype LAC-IS, LAC-Z positive and LAC-I positive and LAC-Z positives were unable to synthesize permease and beta galactosidase irrespective of presence or absence of lactose. Moving on to the mutations in operator. The mutations in operator region are referred as LAC-OC, which is denoting the constitutive mutations on operator region. These mutations alter the operator DNA sequence such that repressor is unable to bind to it. A partial diploid with genotype LAC-I positive, LAC-OC, LAC-Z positive and LAC-I positive, LAC-O positive, LAC-Z positive showed constitutive expression of beta galactosidase, indicating that LAC-OC is dominant over LAC-O positive. Additionally, LAC-O is cis-acting in nature, means it affects a gene present on the same DNA molecule only. The LAC-O mutations regulate genes present on the same DNA only by preventing binding of the repressor to operator sequence, but they cannot prevent a repressor from binding to a normal operator sequence present on some other DNA. Hence, they are cis-acting in nature. Moving on to the last component of our operon is mutations in promoter region. Mutations at promoter region are denoted as LAC-P minus or LAC-P negative. These mutations interfere with binding of RNA polymerase to promoter region, hence no transcription. Thus, like P negative mutations leads to no transcription of structural genes irrespective of the fact whether lactose is present or not. Like operator mutation, that is like OC, promoter mutation, that is like P negative, are also cis acting in nature. Students, let us move on to another component of the operon system, that is positive control in case of lac operon, which is also the catabolite repression. We all know that glucose is always the preferred source of energy over other sugars such as lactose, arabinose, maltose, etc. And thus is always the first one to be metabolized in presence of other sugars. If, for example, an E. coli is grown in a medium which has both glucose as well as the lactose, it always prefers to consume glucose first, then the lactose. And in such a growth medium, E. coli shows something which we call as dioxic growth or biphasic growth curve. During the first phase of exponential growth, the bacteria will utilize glucose as source of energy until all the glucose is exhausted. Then it will utilize lactose, and so after a secondary lag phase, it will show a second phase of exponential growth. The lag promoter contains two binding sites, one for RNA polymerase and another for the protein which we call as catabolite activator protein or the CAP. The binding of CAP to promoter prevents the operon from being induced in presence of glucose. Simply, this mechanism ensures the preferential utilization of glucose as energy source if it is available in the growth medium, which also makes the physiological sense to avoid the wastage of energy in making lactose metabolizing enzyme when a ready source of energy, say glucose, is present in the media. The phenomena is called as catabolite repression. If the glucose is present in the growth medium, it prevents the induction of lac operon. The glucose, which is a catabolite of lactose metabolism, is a repressor of lac operon. Hence, this phenomena is termed as catabolite repression. This phenomena is also at times called as the glucose effect or the positive regulation. The regulatory protein which we call as CAP and a cAMP molecule mediate this type of regulation. CAP is also at times called as CRP, that is cAMP receptor protein, because CAP binds to cAMP when cAMP is present in sufficient concentrations within the cell. The CAP cAMP complex must be present at its binding site on lac promoter in order to lac operon being induced normally. Since it exerts a positive control on the lac operon, this phenomena is also called as positive regulation, or the molecule is called as positive regulator. The CAP cAMP complex bends the DNA by 90 degrees when it is bound to it. Since CAP cAMP complex binding site and RNA polymerase binding site are located adjacently, this bending makes the RNA polymerase binding site more accessible to the RNA polymerase, and thus positively regulates the induction of lac operon. It is this CAP cAMP complex that binds to lac promoter and not the CAP alone, which means cAMP is the major effector molecule, not the CAP only. The intracellular concentration of cAMP is affected by presence or absence of glucose. A low concentration of glucose causes higher concentration of cAMP and vice versa, showing an inverse relationship. The glucose prevents the activation of an enzyme which we call as adenylate cyclase. This is the enzyme which catalyzes the formation of cAMP from the ATP. This connection between glucose and cAMP involves a mechanism by which sugars such as glucose are transported into the bacterial cell, and fact that adenylate cyclase is a membrane bound enzyme. Many sugars are transported in E. coli by a complex which we call as phosphoenol pyruvate dependent phosphotransferase system, or abbreviated as simply PTS. they are phosphorylated as soon as they are transported inside the cell. The phosphate group is transferred from the phosphoenol pyruvate or PEP through a series of intermediary proteins. The connection between the sugar transport and CAMP involves the interaction of phosphorylated E2A component of this complex and adenylate cyclase. The phosphorylated E2A component activates adenylate cyclase. Thus, suppose if glucose is scarce, the phosphorylated E2A will be plentiful, adenylate cyclase will be activated, and thus CMP will increase, and vice versa. Also, when glucose is absent, E2A will be less, and thus lactose permease transport will not be inhibited by E2A. So, students, having discussed all these things, let us have a brief summary of what we have learned in this module. We have learned that the genetic composition of all the cells within an organism is same, but the differences do exist in terms of structure and function. This is because differential expression of genes which leads to difference in their protein composition. This differential expression, which might be temporal or spatial, is achieved by mechanism of transcriptional regulation, also called as gene regulation. The gene expression can be broadly regulated at 5 different levels in prokaryotes, which can be the first one, transcription level, followed by RNA processing level, then RNA transport level, translational level, and lastly the post-translational modification level of the proteins. Gene regulation at transcriptional level in prokaryotes can be constitutive if they are all time expressed, inducible if they are switched on, or the repressible if they are switched off. It can also be positive regulation as well as the negative regulation. The significant difference between a bacterial and a eukaryotic gene control lies in the organization of functionally related genes. The bacterial genes which have related functions are clustered together under the control of a single promoter. These genes are transcribed together in a single mRNA. Thus, in prokaryotes, the genes with related functions are coordinately regulated genetic units, which we call as operons. The operon model was developed by two scientists, Francois Jacob and the Jacques Monod, in the year 1961 to explain the regulation of genes required for utilization of a sugar which is lactose in case of E. coli, the bacteria. An operon consists of some structural genes, some operator sequence, promoter sequence, and the regulator genes. In case of lactose operon, or which we call as lac operon, the structural genes are beta galactosidase, the permease, and the transacetylase. These genes synthesize lactose metabolizing enzyme only if lactose is present in the growth medium. The lac operon is tightly regulated in a way that these genes are transcribed only when lactose is present. Otherwise, the transcription remains largely in an off state. However, some transcription is also on making lac operon leaky. It always remains on. The lac operon is a negative inducible operon. And besides the lac allolactose, which is a natural inducer, IPTG is also acting as a substitute for the lac induction, and which is being used in research. The structure and function of lac operon was worked by Jacob and Monod by analyzing the mutations that affected lactose metabolism. They used something which we call as partial diploid strains of E. coli, and the experiments in which genes or gene clusters are tested pairwise are called as complementation tests. E. coli shows dioxic growth if it is grown in a medium consisting of both glucose as well as the lactose, as glucose is always the preferential source of energy for the bacteria. Glucose acts as a catabolite repressor of the lac operon. Lac operon is positively regulated by CAP, that is CAP-CAMP complex. There is a connection between glucose transport and cAMP formation, as both the mechanisms share a common system, and this system is phosphoenol pyruvate dependent phosphotransferase system, or simply the PTS. Thus, lac-operon is an example of negative inducible operon in prokaryotes, which is also positively regulated by CAP-cAMP complex, and is repressed by the presence of its catabolite, that is glucose, in the medium, that is catabolite repression. Thank you.